Howdy folks, and welcome out to the claim. Today we're going to be doing a product review on this new dry washer that's going to be coming out on the market. It's called the Easy One Pulverizing Dry Washer. Now, it was developed by Joe Burkett, who lives down in Coleman, Texas, and he's a pilot, he's a rancher, he's a heavy equipment operator, and he also builds mining equipment as well. So anyway, he's going to be manufacturing this to sell to the weekend prospector. This is quite a large machine, and it's going to be way cheaper than a lot of the other machines out there for comparable size. But what's cool about this is that it actually has a pulverizing unit that actually pulverizes the material before it gets down on the riffle board to help break up those clay clots that you usually find out here in the desert. Now, I'll put Joe's information on how to get a hold of him in the description page below, so be sure to go ahead and contact him so you can get lined up with one of these. So let's go ahead and show you how this thing assembles, and then let's look at some of the closer up details. So the dry washer comes in three separate pieces. We got our upper feeder hopper right here where we've put all the material onto, classifies it down. We got the frame that holds everything together. Then we also got the pulverizer over here on this side, as well as the riffle board, and this is where the gold collects. So let's get this thing put together, kind of show you how it all works. Okay, so we got our stand set up here. So all we do is put the feeder hopper on first and just make sure we have it going the right way. This back part here is the flume that actually lets all the bigger rocks flow off into the header pile. So go ahead and set this on here. Now this is square tubing that this fits onto. I think it's like about 1 inch, and this just kind of slides on there. It's a really tight fit, so it just takes a little bit of juggling here to get it on. Then once we got the back end on, we can go ahead and hook up the front part here. Now this is common for most dry washers, this kind of a setup. And then also it's got one of these little push buttons right here, and the push button allows you to adjust the angle of your hopper. So we'll go ahead and get this in here and get it fed in there. There we go. And we'll get this side lined in there too. Again, a really tight fit. That way nothing goes anywhere. And we'll go ahead and push our buttons in and slide it down. There we go. And I think we'll probably just slide it down to maybe the third position there. Okay, there we go. So yeah, third position. So that way we have a good enough slope here to let the material flow off and then also feed into the hopper. Okay, next we'll go ahead and put on the riffle board and pulverizer. So we'll go ahead and put this over here in position. And so what you do is you just kind of lay this in here, get this in here so it's matched. What I like to do is actually take the front chain and go ahead and hook it up first. And it doesn't have to be where you want the position. You just kind of want to have it so it's hanging, all right? So now we go ahead and come to the back area, and we have 2 more chains for the rear. So we'll lift this up. And what these chains do is they actually wrap around this little neck right here of the feeder hopper up here. So it just loops around, and then it's got a little S hook here they can just hook it right onto, okay? And so we'll just do it to the other side as well. So we'll go ahead and just pick this up and feed it around. And we can go ahead and just hook it on. Now, once we got this thing all hooked on, now it's just a matter of just getting it all leveled and straightened out the way you want it here. So what I really like about this unit is that it's really super, easy to set up and really easy to make adjustments to. So we'll go ahead and get this all set up and adjusted, and then we'll get it working. The upper feeder hopper measures about 30 inches by 12 inches in the width, and also with the wings on it's about 15 inches, which gives you plenty of room to actually shovel material in or dump a bucket. Now it comes with a 1/2 inch expanded metal grid, which is also replaceable. You can move it, or you can simply put whatever grid you want. Like for instance, if I want to run 1/4 inch material, I can just lay this 1/4 inch screen mesh right on top of it, and I can screen down my material even finer running it through the dry washer. Now this thing is made out of all ABS plastic. This is 1/8 inch thick, or sometimes even thicker than that, and this is really solid. So it's really a good solid platform, and it's much cheaper to manufacture than using aluminum or stainless steel or cold steel or anything like that. So there's a huge cost savings that he passes on to you by making most of this out of plastic. Underneath the feeder hopper is this sliding gate. So you can see it fits really super tight, so I can open and close and adjust it to whatever I want. And if I want, I can just leave it in a certain position so it'll feed a certain amount of material onto the pulverizer. So this is really kind of cool. It's a nice thing. It comes apart too if you want. It just slides right on in. Now let's have a look at this pulverizer. Now what we have here is a whole bunch of studs sticking up, and they're very pointed. I actually took off the safety screen. There's actually a 1/2-inch safety screen that sits up here, but I took that off so that way you can see it a lot better. So anyhow, the feed from the hopper drops down onto this, and of course the whole thing is vibrating and shaking, so the material bashes around amongst all these little stud points and then falls down onto the next layer. So this is actually a double-decker pulverizer. So if I swing the camera around the other way, you'll see the other side here. And now this is the back side with the safety screen on it. There we are. So everything flows down through here, and then it eventually drops onto this little tray, and then as you can see, it kind of flows down into the back side onto the riffle board. There's a couple of neat things I want to show you about this riffle board. This is not like your standard typical dry washer riffle board. Yes, it has the riffles going across here, and yes, it does have a dead spot underneath here to trap the gold, but what I like is this slope right here. As this material comes out over the riffle, it flows down and it hits this other metal piece. Now, if you can see this piece, it's actually turned up at about 20 degrees, okay? So what happens is that as the material flows down here, it lifts up and, of course, gets the material kind of flying, if you would, and causes the gold, being heavier, to drop right down onto the canvas. So it kind of quickens that. So that way, as the material flows over, there's a little bit of a dead spot, sort of like a sluice on a stream sluice, okay? But nothing flows up underneath it. It actually flows down this direction. So it gets that gold to drop down onto that carpet as fast as possible. So that way it collects into the dead space on the underside. So that's a pretty cool thing. Now, switching down to the riffles a little bit lower, Joe has employed the same thing that I talked about in one of my videos about 4 years ago, okay, how to improve the recovery for a dry washer. And I talk about using a screen deck here over the last set of riffles. So what this is a 20 mesh screen that sits above the riffles, and what it does is it classifies the material on the fly, so all the larger rocks flow off into the tailings, while the finer material drops down into these riffles. Now, the reason behind this is to get the dirt and the gold to be sort of close to like size. And that's really key to recovery, especially in a dry washer. So therefore, what we're doing is we're getting the particles of dirt to actually match fairly closely to the size of the particles of gold. So this is kind of your fine gold recovery down here in this section. And what it does is that the air flowing underneath here is lighter than the air over here. So therefore, you're not blowing out, you know, the finer gold over these riffles, and they're shaped a little different. So we'll get into there in just a little bit. Okay, now let's take off the riffle assembly. Everything is attached by a single hasp here. There's also a corresponding little tag that goes on the back end to keep the back end clamped down so everything fits smoothly. So go ahead and unclamp this, okay? And then the riffle box just simply slides out. Now the riffle box, same as everything else, ABS plastic here with aluminum riffles on the middle. So here's the cost savings. So this just slides right on off, okay? And then what is left is the carpet right here. So now you can, sweep off or take this carpeting out, okay, and I'll show you that here in just a second. The carpet just kind of fits on here snug, and it just slides right off, okay? So now you can just take this carpeting off and tap it into your bucket to actually get all the material down and collect all the gold, okay? And then the underside here, you can see the expanded metal and also the screen mesh decking and fiber that's underneath it to help support the carpeting. Really super nice job that Joe's done here putting this together. It's really, really, really super nice. So now let's see what's inside the box. On the inside, we have these bafflings that are set up. The fan is sitting down here. You can see this fan with the counterweight. So the air comes up through here, but it has a baffling so that way it balances out the airflow from here to here. Now the reason why this is sitting way up here is that this fan and weight actually operates the pulverizer up here. So it's more effective with the fan and everything assembly over here. You get more vibratory effect than if it was traditionally down here in the middle. And also you can see the fan blade is pretty large. and it's I think it's about a 6-inch fan blade, and also down inside there's another blade. So there's actually 2 fan blades that are spinning this thing around, and this is a super heavy weight, so this thing really gets rocking and rolling. Okay, now as everything flows down here, we have this other baffling plate here, and if you notice, the holes are smaller than the holes that are up here, and that's because we want to dampen the airflow over the finer material so we don't blow it out and blow the gold out, so it stays trapped. So this is how this thing works. So again, this is all made of molded ABS plastic here, and it's done very, very well, and with aluminum stripping, and so it's a really super nice job. And again, more cost savings because it's not made out of metal. All right, so let's go ahead and put this thing together, and let's get this thing fired up and show you how it works. There's one other thing I wanted to point out to you. Underneath the box is a 4-inch diameter feeder hose that goes into the fan. Now, unfortunately, I have a 3-inch vacuum or shop vac, so it comes with this little adapter so you can hook up a 3-inch hose. So I've got this set up over here to run off my 3-inch 4-stroke motor over here. So the material we're going to be running today is actually old dry washer tailings. We're going to see how efficient this new dry washer is in recovering somebody else's old tailings. So we'll fill up about 10 buckets worth of material, which will give us pretty close to about 1/4 of a yard, and we'll see how well we do. That thing's really shaking. Even the upper hopper's shaking too, which is great. That helps move the material around. That is awesome. Okay, well, let's get some feed going in there and see how she works. Okay, feeding more material through here. The thing really chews up a lot of material fast. Woo! Woo! Real dusty business here. Look at that. Woo! See if we can get in here and see that. Shaker working and pulverizer. This dry washer runs through some material so fast that I'm sure it will keep 2 people busy all day. Woo! And you can see down here, see all the coarser material flowing over the top of this screen, and then down below, obviously, is the finer stuff getting processed. Okay, we got everything all shut down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to release this little hasp, okay? And I'm just going to be very careful about bringing up the riffle board because it's loaded with all kinds of material. So just bring this up, okay? And we'll go ahead and scoot it out. Try to trap as much as we can here in this little tub. Try to get almost all the loose material we can out of here. There we go. All right. Now look at all this black sand on this carpet here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just gingerly just slide this down, get most of the bulk of it off here. Now because this riffle board is so large, I should have brought a concrete pan out here instead of a small tub. It would have done a little better job of capturing all the stuff coming off of here. Be a little wider to work with. So that's what I would recommend if you're going to clean the riffle off, is to get a wider, plastic concrete tub instead of a small tub like this to work with. All right, so we'll go ahead and pop the carpet loose, and we'll just gingerly bring it out here carefully and let it slide into the tub. There we go. Get everybody down. All right, looking real good. Okay, we'll just get all the loose material here, kind of throw that out. Okay. All right, so now we got ourselves a bucket full of material here that we got to process and see if we got any gold in it. Okay, folks, we're getting ready to pan down the concentrates here. I've already got rid of most of the blonde stuff, so that way you don't have to watch me pan a bunch of stuff down. So we'll just see if we can take a look, see if we can actually start to see some gold here. Just got a lot of stuff here in the corner here of the pan. And as we can see, we're starting to see little bits of gold starting to show up in the down here in the corners here, and right in this area right there. And small little specks. I don't know if you can really see it or not with the camera resolution, but yeah, there's really super fine stuff all dotted throughout this black sand here. So try to get the glare off so you can kind of see it here. You can see little dots here of little bits of gold here just kind of smattered in the sand. So we'll go ahead and keep on panning down and see if we can get down to the gold. Yeah. And we're starting to see a little bit more bits and pieces of gold starting to show up along here. There we go. Now we're starting to see a little bit more showing up. Yeah. There we go. I'll just kind of pan it here so you can kind of see the little bits of gold starting to show up here on the edge of the pan. Try to keep the glare out as much as I can. So it looks like the dry washer did pretty good about recovering somebody else's tailings, and I was actually able to get a few nice pieces of gold. Here's a few nice little specimens up here in the corner right here. Not too bad. And I suspect those probably, yep, there we go. There's some more. There's a nice little wire piece right there. You can see that. So, yeah, not too bad. Now, we didn't get a lot of gold. Again, these are tailings from an old dry washer. And but this just shows you how well this new dry washer really works. And what's really interesting is I'll bring it up to the camera really super close, and you can just see all the little tiny fine dots of gold that are in there, just kind of scattered throughout the pan. I'll just move this over here slowly. So you can see that the dry washer is quite effective about recovering fine gold, which makes it, some dry washers have a hard time doing that. But yeah, as you can see, this didn't do too bad. Woo boy, it's getting pretty windy out here. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button. And also hit the subscribe button and the little bell so that way you get future updates whenever I post another video. And I do know we're going to have some wash plant videos coming up here very, very shortly. Now, if you like this dry washer, be sure to give Joe a call, okay, or send him an email. I'll have all that information in the description page, okay? And I think he's asking like just under $1,100 for this thing. And so that's quite a bargain compared to like half the price of some of the other dry washers of this size. So be sure to get a hold of him, and I know he's going to be ramping up production pretty soon. So in the meantime, I wish you the very best in your prospecting adventures. Get out there and find some gold, even if the wind is blowing, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.